Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Around the Manitoba Felt. I'm Dave Converse. We've got a few stories to talk about this week, but we have to start with some pretty big news out of the Winnipeg poker community. On Wednesday night, August 19th, the Keystone Poker $100,000 Bad Beat Jackpot hit at Smitty's Westwood, and what a night it was. The jackpot was started at 100,000 about 7 weeks ago, and the hand that triggered it was pretty incredible. The two players involved were Trevor Bird holding pocket fours and Byron Mason holding pocket jacks. Both players flopped a set. Byron with pocket jacks then turned quad jacks, and you would think that pretty much the the end of the story. But then the river came down and gave Trevor quad fours. So imagine rivering quads and finding out that you still lost the hand. But of course, in this case, losing the hand wasn't such a bad thing. Trevor, the loser of the hand, received just over $40,000, while Byron, the winner of the hand, received just over $20,000, and another 20% was the room share, which was divided among the other 19 players who were there. That worked out to just over $1,000 each. And approximately another 20,000 went back into the jackpot to get the next one started. There was a lot of excitement around the poker community when the news broke. The post went up online, and a bunch of us were playing over at Flea Whiskies when we heard about it, and it definitely became the big topic of conversation. Congratulations to Trevor Bird, Byron Mason, and everyone who got a piece of that jackpot. It's certainly one of the biggest jackpots we've seen in the Manitoba poker outside of the casinos. And there's some other pretty big bad beat jackpots out there waiting to be won as well. Flea Whiskey's jackpot is now over 110,000, and Lucania FC is over 60, approaching 67,000. So maybe Keystone won't be the last jackpot story we talk about this summer. Another big event coming up is the Trip Aces Million Chip Tournament at the Wyndham this weekend. The entry is $400 plus a $20 dealer appreciation, and this tournament is supporting a very worthwhile cause. The event is raising money for a family where the mother has recently been diagnosed with leukemia, and she and her husband have young children. So obviously, this is an incredibly difficult situation for the entire family. This is one of those times where the poker community has an opportunity to come together, play some poker, and hopefully raise a meaningful amount of money for the people who could really use the support. You can find the tournament poster and additional information on the Manitoba Poker Network and the Trip Aces Poker Group on Facebook. Hopefully, they get a great turnout, raise some money for the family, and have a great weekend of poker at the same time. Here's another interesting story that's been getting some attention in the poker world. We may start seeing a change in the way dealers actually deal the cards. Traditionally, poker dealers pitch cards across the table. Sometimes you see that spinning or helicopter motion as the card travels to the player. But there's a potential security problem with that. Technology has reached a point where extremely small cameras can potentially be concealed in clothing, hats, or other objects. When a card is pitched through the air, even for a fraction of a second, there may be an opportunity for a camera positioned at the right angle to see underneath the card. So one possible solution is actually pretty simple. Don't throw the card through the air at all. Instead, dealers slide the cards across the felt, similar to the way you might see blackjack cards dealt at the table. This method has already been used in parts of Europe, and the South Point in Las Vegas recently adopted this style of dealing as well. When the card stays flat against the table, it becomes pretty much impossible for a hidden camera to get a look underneath it. It might look a little strange to poker players who are used to seeing cards pitched around the table, but from the game security standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. It will be interesting to see where this goes. Will we eventually see this at the WSOP and WPT and other major poker tours? And could it eventually become the standard way cards are dealt everywhere? We'll have to wait and see, but it's definitely something to watch. And finally, Matteo got its new poker schedule underway in Selkirk this week. Their opening event was quite well attended with around 42 players, while the other events during the week had somewhat smaller numbers. But this is their first week, so obviously it's going to take some time for players to become familiar with the schedule and for them to build some momentum. I've heard some positive comments from players who went out and played. One thing that really stood out was the presentation. The final table set up on the stage with lights, which gives a pretty cool tournament atmosphere. And they also had food available, including cold cuts and other items, which was a nice touch. And the tournament software they used looked very modern and gave the whole operation a professional feel. So, congratulations to everyone involved with Matteo on getting the first week under their belt. Hopefully, the numbers continue to grow as more players get a chance to check it out. And that's going to do it for this edition of Around the Manitoba Felt. As always, if you have a poker story you'd like to share, an upcoming tournament, an interesting result, or anything else happening around the Manitoba poker community, please reach out to me directly. I'd love to get more of those stories into upcoming episodes. Thanks again for watching. I'm Dave Converse, and we'll see you next time on Around the Manitoba Felt.